Hey everyone, today's overview and review video is on Survival of the Fattest, and this will be on Kickstarter soon. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Krissy, and this is my channel 2 Sheep 1 Wheat. Nick and I play games and I review them. So if board games are something that you're into, like this video and subscribe to the channel. And something recently that we've added to the channel is memberships. Obviously you're here for board games. So if you want to watch us learn games before we make videos on them, take a look at that link down in the description. And a big thank you to all of the members who have already joined the channel. So Survival of the Fattest is a game coming to Kickstarter very soon. I will have the link in the description for you to click on and take a look at it. And this game is from Dirty Rascal Games, so a big thank you to them for sending me this copy so that I can review it for you guys. So in Survival of the Fattest, we're basically foraging throughout the forest through a couple of different seasons. So this is a prototype copy. What you get may not be what I have, but let's go ahead and take a look at the table and see what all the components are. So these are the characters in the game that you're able to play. You're going to use these characters and their abilities to forage throughout the forest for all of the different seasons in the year. So the game did come, my copy came with standees, and they did come with 3D printed miniatures. I do believe throughout the campaign you will have the choice for either the standees or the miniatures. Along with our characters, we have this nice big board here. You're going to be able to travel throughout the different areas and you're going to be collecting these cards. These cards are all food cards. You're going to be able to collect those so that you can complete some of these recipes that you can collect from the market. Certain ones you collect, you may not need, and you'll be able to trade them in at the trading post. So along with the main board and all of the cards that are on there, we also have our player boards. Cards are going to be going at the top and down at the bottom. So whichever character that you want to choose, you're going to collect the standee and you're going to be able to collect the deck that is associated with it. I do have the clips here to make them standees, but just so that everyone can see more clearly, I have taken them off. So your deck will need to be shuffled and placed onto the deck area on your board. Any of the dark areas on your board is going to be cards that are face down. Anything that is a lighter color board is going to be face up, like the ones on the actual board. This is a lighter area, so it's going to be face up. This area here is for your critter. So before you shuffle your deck and place it in the deck area upside down, you're going to find your critter card and you need to make sure that this ability is face up. So you will need to feed your critter by the end of the season, otherwise your critter may die. Once you have fed your critter, you can feed it throughout any of the seasons. You just need to make sure that you feed it before the end of the year. You're going to flip its ability and it'll give you a bit of a bonus ability at the bottom. At the beginning of your turn, everyone is going to get 2 recipe cards. You're going to look at them, which one that you want. You get to keep one and you get to discard the other. So both of the market bonuses at the bottom of the card are the same. So once you have collected the ingredients to fill the recipe, these cards are going to go up at the top of your player board until you're able to create it by using the ingredients. So once you do, it's going to get placed at the bottom of your deck like this so that you can see at the bottom the market bonus. So that basically means you're going to be drawing 5 cards at a time in your hand, and this card will allow you to add a 6th card in its hand. And your critter goes to your stash. Now, along with the areas on the board that you're able to visit, you're also able to visit the stash area on your player board. So basically the stash action is if you have any food cards in your hand, you're going to be able to stash them under here, because that is how you're going to be able to fulfill the recipe cards that you have on the top area of your board. So if you had any food cards in your hand like I do and you were on your stash, you would place these face down. You can never look at these cards. And then so at the end of season, you'll be able to go through all of your stashed cards and be able to fulfill any of these recipe cards that you have at the top. And again, once you've completed them, then they go down at the bottom and then you get the market bonus here. All of the market bonuses are going to be different. I'll go through a little bit more into detail a little bit later on in the video. So now that we have everything set up, we're going to determine who is the first player. So a few different cards that we have in our hands, we have the forage cards and then we have trick cards. So trick cards are going to be played a little bit later on during your turn, but at the beginning we're going to find the highest forage card in your hand and we're going to let the other players know what the highest number that you have is. Whoever has the highest number in their hand is going to be the first player. So once the first player has been chosen, then we're going to go into our actions. Now there's a few different things that we can do. So in this exact order, you can recycle a card, which is basically taking a card from your hand that you don't want and placing it in the discarded area face up on your board. However many cards that you've discarded, you take 1 less back up to your hand size. So if I discarded 1, you wouldn't draw 1 up, but if you discarded 2 cards, you'd be able to redraw 1 card. Then you can play a trick card. Trick cards are just going to be some abilities. Either it will allow you to stay on a certain spot if you're on the board in a specific location, or it'll allow you to draw a card from the specific location that you're on, or it might trigger another player to do something. So in this case, I have Unbearable. It says each player must reveal a food card from their hand if able, and then you may put one of the revealed cards into your own stash. And this one here is Smash and Grab. Put a face card up from the trading post into your stash. So if I did want to do any of those, let's just say I wanted to do this one, I can take a card that's face up and I'm going to put it into my stash. These ones are wild, so it doesn't matter what the ingredient is that it needs, you can always replace it with a star. So we can go ahead and put that into our stash. So that would be how you play a trick card. Then you can visit a location on the board. Now, the only spots that you can forage on the board, because that is the next step that you can take. You can take it in Pinecrest Ridge, you can take it in Greenvale, or in Pebblebrook. But if you visit the trading post or the market, you cannot forage there, unfortunately, because there's nothing to forage. Everything is face up, and it's just a specific card that you can take from these locations. So if you wanted to go to a trading post, you would need to have a food in your hand to be able to trade with one of the face up cards. Or you can take a card from the trading post face down deck and placing it into your discard. So you don't know what card you may get from this. There is one bad card in these, and that would be the trap. So the trap is whenever you're foraging, you'd have to take a trap card unless a lower priority critter hasn't taken one yet. You can recycle this, but it can never get discarded. So if you had this card in your hand, it would be a good time to place it into your discard pile once you're doing your recycle action, because there are some cards that say if your opponent has a trap card in their hand, then something negative would happen to that player. So that is a trap card. So that's what would happen if you went to a trading post, if you decided to go to the market. So at the market, you can reserve one of the 4 cards that are face up. So you would just take it and you would be able to reserve it on the top area of your board. Now, if you have all 5 slots full of cards that you have, or recipes that you have reserved, you'd have to pick which one to replace it with. So once you've taken it, then you would replace it. And then the second option is if you have the correct ingredients in your hand, you would be able to fulfill one right away, moving it from the reserved area straight down into the bottom of your deck so that you can collect the market bonus that's down at the bottom of the card. So that was trading post and market. If you decide to go to any of the 3 other locations at the top of the board, nothing's going to happen until the forage action. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So say if I went to Greenvale, again, visiting a location for the top locations on the board isn't going to trigger anything until Forage. So now Forage, we're going to decide how many cards in our hand that we want to allocate to foraging. So let's say I allocated 4 cards, another player only wanted to play 2 cards. Whoever had the most cards played is going to be the priority. So when this happens, when there's more than one person on a specific location, however many cards were played in total, you're going to draw said number of cards. So once the cards are revealed, then we're going to start a drafting process, starting from the player who had played the most cards, and every player is going to take one at a time, and all of those new cards that you collect are going to go into your discard pile. And let's just say you're there by yourself, you played 3 cards, you're just simply going to draw the 3 cards and add them to your discard pile. So after you have collected the forage cards, you're going to look at the cards in your hand. If you don't want a specific number of cards in your hand, then you're allowed to discard, and then you're going to redraw back up to your hand size. And then at the end of each round, you're going to bring the tracker down by 1. So once you have crossed this border, you're going to reset the board. So you're going to collect all of the cards that are on the board, you're going to reshuffle everything, and then you're going to divvy them up all into equal decks. And you're going to reshuffle the market cards as well and redeal all 4 new cards for each section. And then this is also the time, if you have any of the recipe cards in here, you're going to be able to look at your stash cards and see if you're able to complete anything to move them down. If you can't use any of these, then they just go face down. But that is every time that you skip over to the seasons. So at the end of summer, you go into autumn, you're going to be able to reset again. So again, in the game, you're going to have to reset twice and you'll be able to complete any of these recipe cards. Then once you get to the end of the season, the game is done and you're going to be able to calculate some of your points. Now, any of these cards up here, they do not collect any points. The only points that you can collect are the ones that are completed, the recipes that have been completed and are at the bottom of your deck. In this case, I would have 6 points for these 2 completed recipes. You would also be able to go through your stash to see if you have anything in here that might give you extra points. Some of the recipe cards will say if you have a specific number or if you have any ingredients of such and such, you'll gain 1 point for each of them. So keep an eye on those and make sure you know what is in your stash. You're not allowed to look at them until you get to the end of the seasons. And any cards, any recipes that you have completed down at the bottom, if there's any extra ones that you were to collect, you would remove one from here and place it into your recipes face down. And you would also be able to collect the victory points off of those. There are some cards like autumn colors that have -3 points if they are down underneath of your deck. But this one would also give you 1 point for each completed recipe when scoring. Each recipe that you would have completed on your board would give you 1 point each. But unfortunately, in this case, I don't have any, so I would unfortunately get the -3 points for these. So all of the different recipe cards have a lot of different abilities that are down on the bottom of the card, and I can go through some of them with you. So special sauce requires a star, which is one of the wild ingredients. This one would allow you to have 2 cards as long as this is in your bonus slot at the bottom of your player board. So instead of drawing 5 cards, you would be able to draw to 7 cards. This one would be 1 extra card. This one, as a market bonus, you may spend 1 bonus star at the end of each season while this card is in the bonus slot. So if that card was down here at the bonus slot, and let's say we had this recipe reserved, we would be able to use a star as if it were in our stash. So let's say I didn't have any of these ingredients, but I do have this wild fruit, and as the bonus for this one, it would give me an extra star, so I would be able to complete that one and place it down at the bottom. So there is that one, which is fish sticks. Then we have Buzzberry Booze. This one here, it says you may immediately put 1 face-up card from the trading post into your stash. That one isn't a bad card either. This one here is one of the ones that I was talking about, 1 point for each unused fish in your stash when scoring. So if you could get fish in there, you could potentially gain a lot of victory points. Otherwise, if you don't, the card is only worth 1 victory point at the end. Glazed Fish Filet says that you may immediately move to another location and take the associated action. So one thing with the locations on the board, if you're already on there, you have to move to another location. So having a card like that would come in handy. This one, again, we've already gone through. Honeycomb will allow you to immediately reserve one of the recipes that are at the market. Golden Filet and Veg says immediately swap one of your reserve recipes with a recipe in one of your bonus slots. So if this ability was a little bit better for points, victory points at the end, then this Golden Filet and Veg would allow you to swap that. So there are a lot of different cards and a lot of different abilities on here. All of the different animals all have different abilities as well on their critter cards and for any of their other trick cards that they have in their deck. There is a system based off of size, depending the priority for different things. So the ability for the 𝒖𝒛𝒃 critter here, it says when foraging, you may always be granted the highest priority regardless of how many forage cards that you actually played. So in this game, the largest critter has more seniority over a little critter. But all of their abilities are all pretty, not similar, but they are all different, but they're all equally as valuable. So I know that this game is just a prototype copy, but the rulebook looks like it is completed. They may or may not make changes to it. It is a very visual rulebook, which is really nice. Learning the game, there was really no problem at all. I didn't have to ask any questions. It was very straightforward. It's not necessarily a very difficult game. There is some strategy to it, collecting the cards and making sure that you have the ingredients to be able to complete the recipes and then move them over so that you can collect the victory points off of it. But the game is just a really simple game, and the rulebook really broke it down easily to be able to learn the game pretty well. And playing the game was easy enough as well, just like I was saying, some a little bit trickier to wrap your head around and try to figure out, like, if you don't get the cards that you need to be able to, like the ingredients to fulfill the recipes, then you're not going to score a very high scoring game either. But getting those cards, moving them down, to your bonus area or even the completed recipes. That's going to give you the more victory points that way. But yeah, playing the game really wasn't that difficult at all either. I like that all of the different characters all have different abilities on it. You have to make sure that you feed your character, and the way to feed it is when you get to the end of the season, you have to go through the cards, the stash cards, to be able to feed it, and you need to make sure that you do that, otherwise your character doesn't survive the winter, doesn't come back. But yeah, just the different abilities that you can do, all of the different trick cards, all of them are completely different from one another, and they all do different abilities, whether it's attacking a character or like taking things away from a character, taking ingredients away from a character. Or I played with the otter, and the otter is more focused on Pebblebrook, which is close to the brook, which makes a lot of sense. So that really allowed me to draw a lot of cards from Pebblebrook and really build up my deck, and try not to get too many trap cards, because those are, if they get into your stash, those are a negative point towards the end of the game. You don't necessarily want that. But yeah, again, playing the game was easy enough with a little bit of strategy. I don't necessarily think that, like, the theme is cute. It's very cute to look at. I think I think the theme is very adorable, that it's going through, you're foraging for food and you're going through the seasons. It's a very cute theme. I don't think that the theme really goes with how the game actually plays. Like, yes, you're foraging, you're collecting all these ingredients, and you're making recipes so that you're able to eat them. But I don't necessarily think the theme, like, it didn't really matter for me what the theme was. I enjoyed the theme because it's cute. It's downright cute. So I did enjoy it, which I guess leads me into artwork. Again, really cute. I like the option that I was given anyway. I'm not sure if the Kickstarter edition you'll be able to get both standees and minis. I'm not quite sure what is available yet, but I did enjoy that I was given the option so that I saw what the standees are and I saw what the miniatures are. The miniatures are all really cute too, and again, they are based off of size too because of the specifics for the game for size-wise for the critters. It's really cute so far. Like, I know that these are just 3D printed, and I'm sure that they're going to have a high quality mini that they're going to get for the Kickstarter, but these were pretty good. And they look really cute. I adore the minis for them. I'm pretty fond of minis. I love painted minis because then it just looks really, really good. But if you don't get painted minis, I think anyway, standees are a really good option because they are colored. I don't mind a standee at all. Board, everything on there. Like, it's definitely a really cute artwork. I really like it. I really like all of the artwork on the cards as well. I like that it's listed what it is. I like the artwork that are on there. I like the critter cards with all of the artwork on there. I think everything just flows really nice together. You can tell that, I don't know, everything looks really good. I enjoy the artwork in this game. It is really, really cute. Components for the game, there's not too much components in the game, like standees, minis, depending on what you get from the Kickstarter. But yeah, if you're getting 3D or if you're getting minis, then yeah, it's like components pretty good. There is just one wooden bit here to keep track of your seasons and the months, and then cards. So really not too many components in the game. There might be more. I have no idea what the Kickstarter holds. I'm really excited for this to go live so that we can actually see what's going on with it. But I did overall enjoy playing the game. It is on the lighter side, but it is really cute to look at. One thing I will mention that I really hope that they do not change. So the game did come with a player aid. It does go over the locations and what you can do at the locations, and it does go through all of your the round sequence, so what actions you can take and when you can discard and when you're starting a new turn. However, they did add each section with the page numbers in the rule book, and I think that that is something that is so smart that I think that a lot of companies could use, because that avoids me going through the rule book, or I guess not me because I don't do rule books, but that would really help when Nick has a question about the game, or if I'm asking him questions, then he can go straight to the page in the rule book because it is on the player aid. That was really neat, and I'm pretty sure that this is the first time that I have ever seen that, and I'm pretty sure it's the first time Nick has ever seen that too. So I think that is really good. I think that everybody should pick that up. It would make everybody's life that much easier. So if you are into lighter games, this is definitely a family game. It is a very cute game. Definitely take a look at that link down in the description below. And again, thank you for sending me this game so that I can review it for everybody out there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time.